So I apologize on that first video that I ran out of time, but I know that many of you will relate because I know that you've been doing some flip grids for English lately where it was hard for you to finish in 5 minutes. So I did not finish in 15 minutes, so I ran out of time and I wasn't watching the clock. So I'm going to pick up where I left off. We had made this counting tree to determine the number of possible outcomes. We had determined that overall there were 8 possible outcomes, and then we were on to step number 2, where we were finding the number of favorable outcomes. So I was in the middle of highlighting, and that's when I realized I was out of time. So I think I had started highlighting. I've got a head, head, and a tail, a head, tail, and a head. And then on the next one, I had a tail, head, and a head. So I had a total of 1, 2, 3 possible outcomes that were that met the criteria. So my probability is 3/8, or 0.375, or 37.5%. So I really just use the fundamental counting principle and a combination with that tree to find out how many favorable outcomes I have over the total number of possible outcomes. And finally, I'm going to give you 3 practice problems where I'm just going to ask you to find the number of possible outcomes for each of these. So go ahead and pause the video, determine the number of possible outcomes, and then when you are done with the 3 problems, you can unpause the video and the answers will be here for you to check before you go on and do your practice assignment tonight. So part B should have been pretty easy with 100,000 outcomes. Part C, you may have recognized that you're multiplying 26 times itself. So another way of writing that would be 26 to the 6th power. Part D is a little trickier because of how your calculator might have shown you the answer. So if I know that it has 8 digits or letters, I have 10 digits, I have 26 letters. So in each position, I could have 36 different possibilities. So it's going to be 36 times 36 times 36 times 36. So 36 to the 8th power is this. Your calculator, depending on what calculator you're using, may have said 2.82 and then however many other digits it had in there times 10 to the 12th power. This is scientific notation, which you will learn about next year. It basically is a way for us to write very big or very small numbers. And what that 10 to the 12 means is that I'm multiplying it times 10 12 times. So each time I multiply it by 10, I'm going to move my decimal point over one place. So I'm going to go back up here to this number. If my decimal point were right there and I multiplied it times 10 to the 12th, I would move my decimal point 12 places. And so that's why your calculator might have said that. Don't get hung up on that because you will learn all about scientific notation next year. But just to interpret for some of you what your calculator might have said. All right, that's it for this lesson. So hopefully you feel comfortable that you have some new techniques to find the number of possible outcomes and that you can then use those possible outcomes to find the probability of a compound event. So today your practice is going to be a clever assignment, and then we will move into independent and dependent events tomorrow.